A very good afternoon. Many thanks for staying with us here on TV47. Welcome to Newsfeed. My name is Mumbi Chege. Now, a contingent of police officers who had surrounded Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi's home to arrest him over incitement had to retreat after neighbors of the legislators came out in large numbers to defend him overwhelming the officers. Sudi is said to have jumped through the fence during the night to escape from the police officers. A section of Uasin Gishu leaders led by Women Representative Gladys Boss Shulei and Kipcham Ward Representative Gilbert Tenai, who joined the residents in support of Sudi, wondered why police officers had to come to the home of the Member of Parliament at night to arrest him, yet he had held a public meeting during the day in Eldoret town without any problem. Now the Member of Parliament is still at large and police are still hunting for him as tension continues to mount in Eldoret town.
Yeah.
Tulipoanza kuitana mmoja baada ya mwingine, tukashangazwa zaidi ya jinsi tulivyokuwa tunaitana, ndivyo zaidi magari ya polisi yalivyokuwa yakiingia. Tukaulizana, je, ni kwa nini mheshimiwa akujiwe wakati wa usiku kama huu, ilhali mchana mheshimiwa amekuwa pale mjini Eldoret akizunguka akifanya mkutano ambayo polisi wenyewe walikuwa wamepeana ruhusa ya kufanya kazi hiyo.
To come and pick someone at night in the middle of a village is irresponsible, because that is just unnecessary tension, and people believe that if you're going at night to someone's house, it's either you want to kill them or you want to steal from them.
We are not refusing Oscar to be arrested, but there are some ways of arresting someone. If they had actually made a summon to him to appear before them and Oscar denied, then they should have actually come for him. But in this case, Oscar was not given any summon to appear. We asked them whether they had a warrant of arrest. They didn't ask. We asked them, why would you break this house? They told us we are under instructions from above. We don't know these instructions from above come from who. And we want to know who is this above. But actually, does not adhere to what the Constitution is saying.
Now, Bungoma Senator Moses Masika Wetangula is now urging the national government to bring on board all stakeholders as it looks forward to privatizing Nzoia Sugar Factory so that farmers do not lose out. Now, speaking at a function held for the retirement of Bokoli Location Chief in Webuye West Sub-County, Wetangula has urged the government to make sure that farmers' welfare is at the top of the agenda during the process. His sentiments were echoed by various leaders from the region.
Sema hakuna chochote serikali inaweza kufanya bila kushirikisha wananchi. Sisi hatujaona serikali ikiita wakulima wa Nzoia, wafanyakazi wa Nzoia, kuketi na wao kuambia hiki na hiki na hiki tunataka kufanya. Sasa wameanza kufungua mambo ya corona. Nimeita wenzangu viongozi, tunaenda kuwa na mkutano Bukembe ya wakulima wa Nzoia. Tutoe azimio letu ya kwamba huwezi kuchukua udongo wa Nzoia upatie mtu kwa miaka 30 mwambie ni lease. That is a sale.
Nzoia ndio kiwanda peke yake imebaki. Na sisi kama viongozi tutasimama tutetee wakulima wote wa Bungoma kwamba Nzoia haiwezi ikakodeshwa kwa rai, waache Nzoia iende kwa wakulima.
Now, the second compensation phase for Karimenu 2 Dam project will cost 2 billion shillings, and the National Land Commission is finalizing the legal aspect of it. Now, this is revealed by PS for Water and Irrigation, Joseph Wairago, during his tour at Karimenu 2 Dam in Gatundu North to witness the contractors that milestone of diverting River Karimenu course into a tunnel of 408 meters long to pave way for the dam construction. Also, Ruto. The PS noted that as the dam construction advances, which is at 18% at the moment, more than 2,000 workers are going to be hired. Over 850,000 residents from Juja, Ruiru and Nairobi will benefit from the project's water that is set for completion in June 2022.
Upper New River that you now go through the tunnel that you have seen. This is in appreciation of the good work that the contractor is doing at the site. This site is now at 18% construction, which is actually very commendable, noting that we lost about 2 years and so we are preparing to move the people who are sitting on this land. Yes, the second phase is likely to take about 2 billion Kenya shillings, and we are already on course. We have requisitioned for that money. The National Land Commission is actually undertaking that process. You know, there are legal requirements. So we are ready to finance it once the National Land Commission finishes with the legal requirements.
Now, women from different churches in Embu County have held mass prayers to call for the tolerance and peace as political temperatures in the country continue to rise. The women condemned utterances by political leaders that they said were geared towards hatred and tearing the country apart, with the general elections less than 2 years away.
Led by Embu County Women Rep Jane Wanjoki, women appealed to political leaders to uphold unity and seek God's divine intervention. They also demanded that politicians cease from using abusive language when expressing their opinions and instead embrace respect.
We have seen, and most of the times in the meetings where I have been, there has been no lift. Let politicians not start misguiding the citizens of Kenya into the clerks that they are trying to make. For me, it's not there.
The women lamented that it was unfortunate that women have continued to be at the center of political attacks, further undermining their status in the society. The women, who later held a peaceful protest in Embu town, said that a time must come when women must be respected in the country.
Tumesema wakikuja kutukana hapa tutawasimamisha kama sisi wa mama wa Embu. Na tumesema tumekataa matusi. Sisi
hata kama tumetukaniwa tuwe na roho ile ya kunyenyekea na kusameana. Yeah.
They also appeal for forgiveness, adding that those who are hurling insults will reap from their seeds of discord when the time is right.
And we have left this matter to the Most High God, who is well able to deal with any man the way he chooses to. That's why we've said, them that have been disrespectful to the president, tumewakabidhi kwa mkono ya Mungu leo. Hawa ni wamama.
Mwige William, TV 47.
And a group of health practitioners and retired teachers from Bahati in Nakuru County have brought a group of teenagers together to equip them with life skills. This time schools are closed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The tutors say the day-to-day engagement with the teenagers are saving them the ills brought about by idleness.
In this 2-acre cabbage field in Mailikumi village, Bahati, Nakuru County, more than 50 boys and girls, mostly high school going students, come on a daily basis to check the progress of their cabbages. These cabbages have been grown by these teenagers out of the training they got from a group of retired teachers and a health practitioner giving back to the society.
Most of them wakawa idle, wanarandaranda ama wanatembea pale mitaani na wakakuwa wameanza kuji-indulge in negative activities. Most of them wakaanza kujua hata kuvuta bangi. Most of them wakaanza kujua kutumia drugs. Most of them wakaanza kujipata wamefika katika ile kiwango ya teenage pregnancy. We therefore came up with a program venye tunaweza wasaidia tukiwa. And I'm sure from here somebody will start something that will help him or her in her daily life.
The teenagers who could not afford to enroll in a daily virtual classroom where learning is taking place joined the larger group, and their stay at home has not gone to waste.
So tumeanza projects kama za kupanda, so tuko na seedlings kadhaa tunauza, so tumegather a lot ka sector na agriculture. Kami personally nimejua kulima, kupalilia.
Hapa tumefunzwa kupika, kushona mats, na tumesaidika. Itatusaidia pia sisi Pale hivyo tutaenda kufunza wengine wenye bado waja join, na bado tuna attract wengine, bado tuna interact na wengine huku.
Far from farming, these teenagers have acquired other vocational skills such as sewing, baking and pastry, as well as cooking. The youth-friendly program coordinators say the COVID-19 pandemic has strained heads of households and not much attention is given to the teenagers, hence the sharp rise in the number of teenage pregnancies in the recent past.
Walipokuja na wakafanyiwa counseling ama wakafanyiwa ushauri, hata wengi wamekubali kupimwa na kujua hali yao ya HIV. Wamekubali wengi, wamekubali kujitolea. Ni vijana ambao wanafanya mambo. Ile kitu yote unaona wamefanya hapa leo, ni hao wamejitolea. Hata kama tunawafunza kidogo, kisha nao wanaendelea.
The weekly 9-hour learning sessions engage the teenagers in learning meaningful association with each other, self-awareness, good behavior and entrepreneurship. As a result, the program's coordinators say the participants have been able to choose their career paths wisely after discovering their talents and potentials.
These programs walifanya kwa sababu ya kunurture their talents. In them tukarealize kuna wenye wanaweza kufanya handwork, kama wenye mmeweza kuona ya kushona mats, kutengeneza beadworks. Some of them could even do cookery, na tukaanza a very specific project ya vegetable plant.
Wazazi ambao wamekuwa wakiachilia watoto wao kwetu, hakika hata wakirudi manyumbani mtaweza kuona ya kwamba some of these things, hata ule mtoto ambaye hakuwa anajua kupika, hangeshika kisu akatakata hata kitunguu, sasa hivi wakitoka hapa watakuwa watu ambao wanaweza kujisimamia nyumbani. Atakuwa ni mtoto ambaye unaweza acha nyumbani na apikie hata wale watoto wengine wadogo, na ukiwa kama mzazi utafurahia.
The teenagers and the coordinators have held this program, saying it has played a huge part in the morality of the teenagers and made them more industrious. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mwangi Maina, for that report. Now, the decision to close schools until January because of the new coronavirus has left many private schools struggling to survive. At Roka Preparatory School in Mwea, Kirinyaga County, the sound of children in classrooms has been replaced with clucking chickens. Now, the playground is now a vegetable plot. James Kungu, who founded the school 23 years ago, says he had to turn to farming to survive this difficult period.
Rows of spinach sprout in the sports field where the students of Roka Preparatory School once played football, and clucking chickens fluffed their feathers in sawdust-covered classrooms where children once sweated over their exams. No students have thundered down these eerily quiet corridors since March, when Kenya abruptly closed its schools 3 days after the first case of COVID-19 was detected. The loss of income means some private schools will shut permanently.
Corona came as a shock to everybody, me included. And because it has stopped us from carrying on with our daily routines, teaching in the classrooms and getting a revenue from the children. And all at once we are told, home you go, and we went.
According to Kenya Private Schools Association, there are about 11,400 private primary and secondary schools, serving about 2.6 million students. They vary from bare classrooms, charging a few thousand shillings a term, to ultra-manicured campuses, serving the nation's elite. Peter Ndoro, the association's chairman, says around 150 schools have already gone bust. Most of the 158,000 teachers working in private schools are on unpaid leave, while some schools have been able to oversee distance learning. In others, the pupils and the teachers have no way to connect to the internet. They have to look for creative ways to make money. But Kungu says turning to farming means Roka, which had 530 pupils in March, will not close. He says to date, the school has lost at least 20 million shillings in school fees, but was still paying partial salaries to teachers. The school's head teacher, Moses Wandera, is currently working in the farm.
Personally, I think it's a good project that even after the pandemic is over, is a project that I would wish to continue with it as a side hustle other than just the main employment.
I had to think how to use the classrooms because they were haunting most of the times. When you wake up in the morning and you hear the empty classes looking at you, it's an investment, very discouraging. And quickly I thought of occupying the classrooms. And the idea that came first was to keep chicken in the classrooms.
Schools are expected to stay closed at least until January. As of September 11th, Kenya had 35,793 confirmed coronavirus cases, 616 deaths, and 22,442 recoveries.
Thank you, David Mudoka, for that report. Now, today marks exactly 1 year since the signing of the peace deal between the Turkana West Pokot communities in Kenya and the Karamojong community in Uganda. The peace deal was facilitated by the United Nations and has so far paid dividends. Now, with the previously two warring communities giving up their arms and instead working together to ensure sustainable peace in the decades to come.
The United Nations peace-initiated deal happened in Moroto, Uganda at Naitakwai grounds. The communities dressed in traditional regalia and adorning the Kenya and Uganda flags danced in joyous celebration as a sign to welcome the peace deal. The deal was witnessed by President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Ugandan counterpart Yoweri Museveni, among other dignitaries.
Tunataka tuhakikishe ya kwamba tumeondoa hii mipaka ambayo sio yetu.
Amani, maji. Mnaona yameanza kuleta matunda. Wakati mlikubali kurudisha bunduki, watu wamezaa watoto wamekuwa.
The MOU was signed by Kenya's Cabinet Secretary for Devolution Eugene Wamalwa and Uganda's Minister for Karamoja Affairs John Byabagambi, and so far it has paid dividends. The previously two warring communities have given up their arms and are now working together to ensure sustainable peace in the decades to come. The United Nations Residence Coordinator said the international body has already seen opportunities of development. Communities can now access water and resources. He says the success of the Africa Free Trade Area will happen when borders are stable.
I think very importantly, we've seen a tone down of violence in those areas, which used to see a lot localized conflicts. We've seen those things come down. The second, we've already seen, opportunities of development has already started. Access to water, access to more resources. The initial seed funding has made it happen. So we are already seeing that in a span of 1 year.
The United Nations Development Programme, which has been a key financier to the deal, says they have supported interventions that have eliminated illegal flow of small arms and light weapons in the border areas by strengthening the peace actors' capacities.
Both on the Kenya side as well as on the Uganda side, UNDP has actually invested about $1 million of its own resources for each of the countries to actually implement some of these catalytic interventions that give life to this MOU so that we ensure that what has been a political framework can very quickly translate into meaningful activities on the ground.
Already, the Ministry of Devolution is looking forward to commemorating the peace deal by commissioning two projects. One in Turkana County, the Oram Water Project, which was supported by UNDP, and another one which was done in West Pokot County in Lasara.
The main source of conflict is sometimes when the pastoralists cross over to the neighboring countries is because they are looking for pastures. They're looking for water. So His Excellency the President directed that we put some money for the development of big dams.
Senate Majority Leader Professor Samuel Pogisio and CS for Petroleum and Mining John Muñez says the peace deal has benefited the communities along the border in a great way.
It's been so peaceful. From around that time on, we are now able to walk the distances without any fear. The communities have settled pretty much. There is hardly any disturbance.
The peace accord has also opened the infrastructure that was poor in that region. The roads, the Moroto Road, Moroto-Lodo Road, the Kotido-Kakuma Road, and many other smaller roads have been opened.
Speaking ahead of the commemoration, the devolution CS Eugene Wamalwa says the peace deals between communities living in the border started in 2015 between Kenya and Ethiopia, and so far the communities are living together in harmony. Wamalwa further says culture can be used as a tool of integration among communities living in the larger East Africa communities.
We do not want to stop there. We want to look at another MOU with South Sudan so that apart from the Karamoja cluster and apart from the Ethiopian-Kenyan MOU, we want to see another MOU now bringing together South Sudan as well as Kenya and the communities living along our borders.
Andrin Kieni for TV 47.
Thank you, Andrin, for that report. Now, urbanization is on the rise in Africa, and attaining food security and nutrition for all will depend on interventions that transform urban-rural linkages. Now, this was indicated in the Africa Agriculture Status Report that was launched at the African Green Revolution Forum Summit in Kigali, Rwanda. Diana Iriza reports.
The report shows that growth of cities in Africa shapes the agricultural environment and agribusiness by influencing patterns of agricultural production and bringing about the rapid expansion of food processing and distribution plans.
It is therefore important that we work together to create resilient food systems that will enable us to absorb shocks and bounce back better. We can do that. As Africa, we feel so strongly about this. Cali and the Malabo declarations are testimony to our commitment to agriculture, because we know that agriculture is indeed the surest path to inclusive economic growth.
According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, 61% of the world population will be living in urban areas by the year 2025. FAO further states that more than half of sub-Saharan Africa SSA population could be living in urban areas by 2015, posing huge challenges for poor towns and cities which already face challenges such as poverty and inequalities.
This year's forum does two things. Besides overcoming COVID or being here despite COVID, this year's forum focuses on feeding African cities. Because we do recognize the opportunity that African cities present, we as a continent are the fastest urbanizing continent, which is huge, but we do also recognize that there are challenges why we don't take advantage of that market. Many of those are lack of what experts call wholesale markets, or even when you go to the West, what you see as supermarkets, grocery stores and all that. Lack of those actually means that farmers don't have predictability of markets.
The AGRF summit brought together over 2,000 delegates from governments, the civil society, the private sector, research community and development partners. It was held under the theme Feed the Cities, Grow the Continent, leveraging urban food markets to achieve sustainable food systems in Africa. Diana Iriza, Kigali, Rwanda.
Thank you, Diana, for that report from Rwanda. Now, in the world of sports, Harambee Stars striker Michael Olunga has been named the Japan's J1 League Player of the month of August. Now, Olunga netted 6 goals in 6 appearances for his club, Kashiwa Reysol, in August. The Kenyan international has 15 goals in 14 games this season, thrusting Kashiwa Reysol to 5th position with 26 points.